going to our chapter 40, that is the lymphatic system from our Guyton. So first let us see the glossary important terms and next move on to our topic. So first the term here is lymphedema. It is nothing but in the name itself you can understand lymphedema means lymph is accumulated in the interstitial space. So the collection of lymph in the interstitial tissue following the blockage of lymphatics. So why this is caused? Mainly because of blockage of lymphatics. Sometimes when edema takes place, even lymph blocks. When the lymph blocks, it can't take the extra fluid, so it gets accumulated. That is called as lymphedema. And also remember that when lymphatics are involved, it leads to non-pitting edema. When lymphatics are not involved, it leads to pitting edema. So that is one of the difference. And the maximum lymph flow rate. What is this? So the lymph increases with increasing interstitial hydrostatic pressure. Of course, you can understand if hydrostatic pressure increases, interstitial pressure increases. If interstitial pressure increases, even the lymph flow also increases and achieve the maximum at 1 to 2 millimeters of mercury interstitial pressure. So at this pressure, the increased entry of fluid to lymphatic capillaries is opposed, because that is the maximum limit where the lymph can't handle. So if it is like about 1 to 2 millimeters increase in interstitial pressure, then that is opposed by the interstitial compression of outside surface of large lymphatics, so thus impeding the lymph flow. Impeding the lymph flow means it is not allowing the lymph flow. So even this may be like one cause of edema, because even here the lymph flow is blocked because it has reached certain limit like 1 to 2 milligrams of mercury. So now let us see how actually the lymph is formed in our body. So mainly lymph is nothing but derived from our interstitial fluid. So mainly the protein concentration of interstitial fluid is 2 grams. Also our lymph also have of course 2 grams, because from interstitial fluid only the lymph is arriving. So lymph is formed in the liver and have protein like about 6 grams per dl. If lymph is also formed in intestine, if it is formed in intestine, then the protein content may decrease like about 3 to 4 grams per dl. And thoracic duct lymph is nothing but it's like a mixture of all lymphs, because intestine lymphs come mixed there, and also liver lymph come mixed there. So so the thoracic duct lymph, remember, it is a mixture of all lymph of the body. So here the protein may be like about 3 to 5 grams per dl. So all fats from the GIT are mostly observed from our lymph. So after a fatty meal, if you observe the thoracic duct lymph, then it may contain the 1 to 2% of the fat. So by this we can confirm that most of the fats are absorbed into our lymph. So large particles like bacteria can also easily enter into the lymph, because they are having large white spaces, but they are cleared by the lymph nodes. Lymph passes through the lymph node and gets cleared. Lymph node have many macrophages and all those cells which can easily engulf the bacteria and finally clear out them. And next you can see rate means that the rate of flow of lymph, how it is like about 100 milliliter per hour. So per hour in our body 100 milliliters of lymph is always flowing. So this flow mainly by the thoracic duct of the resting human. So in a resting human, in a thoracic duct, the flow is 100 milliliter per hour, and 20 milliliter flow into the circulation for each hour. So in circulation 20 milliliter flows per each hour. In thoracic duct 100 milliliters. So you can see in thoracic duct most of the lymph is flowing when compared with the circulation lymph. So total, if you do the total, nothing but 100 plus 20, 120. So total we have 120 milliliters of lymph flowing for hour, that to 2 to 3 liters per day. So for hour, if you are getting 120 milliliters per hour, then you can calculate that 2 to 3 liters of lymph is daily flowing in your body for one day. So any factor which can increase the interstitial pressure can also increase the lymph flow, because it is directly related. If the interstitial fluid is increased, then even the lymph get increased, especially in the normal conditions. So what are those factors? So you can say any factor can increase. Then what is that factor? Such factors are, so the factors which can increase the interstitial pressure can also of course increase the lymph. So those factors are like hydrostatic pressure, increase in hydrostatic pressure, decrease in plasma colloid osmotic pressure. So if you see, these are the conditions like edema conditions, right? In edema conditions only interstitial fluid is increased. So increase in interstitial colloid osmotic pressure and increase in permeability of capillaries. So these are the main factors which lead to the increase in interstitial fluid, that in turn increase the lymph flow. So lymphatic pump also increases the lymph flow. So let us see how lymphatic pump increases lymph flow. So mainly in lymph valves, the lymphatic capillary is empty. Lymph also have valves. So as lymph fills, the valves contract and empty the uh, empty it to the next one. So it's also like a valvular contraction. For example, this is one lymph, it will contract, send this lymph to next one, like that they'll contract and continue this cycle. So finally, because of this contrast, finally it enters into the venous side of the blood. We know lymph drains into our venous side of the blood. So mainly in the thoracic, that the lymphatic pump can generate pressure as great as 50 to 100 millimeters of mercury. So we are saying they're contracting, so this contracting pressure may be higher, especially in thoracic duct, like about 50 to 100 milligrams of mercury. And next, external factor compress the lymph and cause pumping like contraction of surrounding. Sometimes these are the internal factors. Till now we have seen the internal factors, which are these valves. These are the internal factors which is leading to the pumping of lymph. Now let us see what are the external factors which may affect. The external factors compress the lymph. So these are like indirectly pumping the lymph by compressing them. So because of compression and causing the pumping, like contraction of surrounding, like these are the examples, like contraction of surrounding skeletal muscle. You can understand, if the skeletal muscle contract, if nearby some lymph vessel is there, then it will also get contract. So like this, indirectly it gets contract. And movement of parts of body, sometimes because of movement also. And like pulsation of arteries, arteries beat, pulse, that pulse also may sometimes lead to contraction to adjacent lymphatics, right? And compression of tissues by objects outside the body, sometimes because of long term compression also. So all this can increase the lymph flow. So lymph pump is very active mainly during exercise and increase the lymph flow like about 10 to 30 fold. So we know already our blood circulation also increase in exercise. Not only blood circulation, also now just add into your brain one more point, that lymph flow is also increased like about 10 to 30 fold. So in rest, like normal, if you are in rest sluggish, like lazy period, then it is like of course 0. So now let us see the lymphatic capillary pump. So terminal lymphatic capillary pump lymph to the large lymph vessels. So this is like a terminal pump which mainly pumps lymph to the large lymphatic vessels. So they anchor to the surrounding tissues and swell and contract when the excess fluid enters. So you can understand, lymph also needs some support. If it is supported by adjacent tissues or adjacent walls with anchoring fibers, so that whenever more lymph comes, it can easily swell and contract and send it to the next part, preceding part, and reach the terminal capillary by junctions between the endothelial cells. So between the junctions of endothelial cells, lymph also easily gets passed away and finally reach into the terminal capillary. So when tissue compress, pressure in the capillary increases and cause the overlapping edges of endothelial cells to close like valves. So even this is like a factor which is involving in pumping of lymph. You can see, when tissue is compressed by any case, then the pressure in capillary increases, of course. So this also causes overlapping edges of endothelial cells to close like a valves. So when they're closed like valves, you can understand now they are contracting, because as I said, lymph is flowing in between the endothelium cells. Now as it is closed, now it's like valve, so again it will move to the next part. So lymphatic capillary endothelial cells also have few contractile actin and myosin filaments. They also have actin and myosin filaments like muscle. So therefore the rate of lymph flow is determined mainly by the product of interstitial fluid pressure times the activity of lymphatic pump. So only the two factors to remember is our first one is our interstitial fluid pressure, because they are directly related. If the interstitial fluid pressure is increased, then even the lymph is increased. And one more thing is that lymphatic capillary pumping. If the pumping is increased, then also lymphatic pressure is lymphatic fluid is increased. So lymph, only the two factors is, first one is our interstitial fluid and next one is the lymphatic pump. So lymphatic system plays a key role in controlling the interstitial fluid, also protein concentration, volume and pressure. We know all this already. Sometimes extra fluid is remained in the microcirculation during tissue exchange. So at that time, that extra one is taken by our lymph and it is always drained into our venous side. This is a normal process, we know. So some protein may also leak from the circulation to the interstitium sometime. During exchange, sometimes this spillover may takes place. So this lead to increase in interstitial osmotic pressure, and so this increases the interstitial fluid volume, and this in turn, of course, increase the interstitial fluid pressure and increase the rate of lymph flow. So sometimes because of protein leakage also this may take place and increase the lymph rate. So especially you see in face, in skin, like especially in skin like back of your hand, they're like very smooth. They're not like so much connected, they're not having that much connective tissue. So how they are hold? If there's not connective tissue, they should be very loose, but they are not, because they are held by the negative interstitial fluid pressure, that is nothing but also acting as a partial vacuum. So this negative interstitial fluid pressure holds them. So this is a new point to understand. So this is all about just a simple lesson, lymphatic system. The previous one we also had some of this textbook points. Here you can see this is the tissue pressure which is seen on x-axis, and the y-axis you can see the relative lymph flow. So you can say as the tissue pressure is coming to 0, that is atmospheric pressure, you can see even the relative lymph flow is also like almost like somewhat stopped over here, and it is trying to form a plateau. So you can see the tissue pressure when it is greater than the atmospheric pressure, so how much the external, how much the pressure is increased, but the lymph flow will just maintain the steady state, you can see here, that is above the atmospheric pressure. So you can see the relation between interstitial fluid pressure and lymph flow in the leg of a dog. Know that the lymph flow reaches a maximum when the interstitial pressure rises slightly above atmospheric pressure. So you can see this is about interstitial pressure, this is the relative lymph flow. We know already interstitial pressure is directly proportional to our lymph flow. So as it is increasing, even the lymph flow is increasing, but if it is beyond the atmospheric pressure, that too beyond like higher value like 4, you can see it is just maintaining a plateau. So that you need to observe here. And here you can see the structure of lymphatic capillaries collecting lymph with lymphatic valves are also see. So you can see this is a collecting lymphatic, these are the lymphatic capillaries, these are the pores in between, and these are the valves of the lymph. And finally, let us discuss this small box. Lymphatic system summary of functions. So main is the route of absorption of nutrients, especially fats we have seen from the GIT, and also it has a role in immunity because T cells, B cells are present, right? And the regulation of interstitial fluid protein concentration, regulation of interstitial fluid volume, and also regulation of interstitial. So all related to interstitial fluid. Maybe it is protein concentration, maybe it's volume, maybe it's pressure. All are related to the interstitial fluid regulation. So this is all about our guide in chapter 14.